you helped me understand my love language and why it's important to represent myself through my love language to my work, as well as narrow down the things I want to do in my job to really center itself around my love language, the things that I naturally gravitate towards when it comes down to communication and interacting with others.
That's Gayle Warfield, and this is the Powerful Ladies Podcast. Hey guys, I'm your host, Cara Duffy, and in this episode, I sit down with Gayle to talk about her journey from UI UX designer to creating the accessories brand Teal Teacup. She's the artist, the maker, the face of this enamel pin focused brand. We discuss how she's grown over the years, how the enamel pin community is so special, and how it's possible for a complex, multi-layered single mom to lean in, start her own business, and thrive doing so much of what she loves. If you are a creative like Gayle, looking to make a leap into working for yourself, having your own business, or taking your current business to the next level, I encourage you to book a call with me at caraduffy.com or check out all the ways I can support you at learn.caraduffy.com. From private coaching to being in one of my business masterminds, there's free downloads, online courses, or even my Thrive membership for female business owners, which Gayle is in, and we'll talk about that in today's episode. There is guaranteed to be an answer to many, if not all, of your what's next, how do I, how can I figure out what my next step is, questions for you and your business. If you're not sure where to start, just email me, hello@caraduffy.com. Welcome to the Powerful Ladies Podcast.
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here.
Let's begin. Please tell everybody your name, what you're up to in the world, and where you live.
My name is Gayle Warfield. I am the owner, CEO, designer, and creative mind behind the brand Teal Teacup. I live in Walnut, California.
And where's Walnut, California, for everyone who's wondering?
It's LA adjacent. I live LA adjacent.
Yeah. And what does Teal Teacup do?
Teal Teacup creates enamel pins, stickers, and different accessories and designs for the art community and people who collect enamel pins and stickers.
And you design everything that's in Teal Teacup.
I do. I'm an independent artist, and I've become known for designing enamel pins and accessories that are cute and funny and relatable and self-expressive and everything that I could do to represent myself within a very small niche.
Were you always an artist? And is that how you always, was that your known career path? Or how did you end up owning and running Teal Teacup?
I've always identified as an artist, even when I was younger. I guess it would have started when I was drawing little things in the 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. And then in high school, I actually got into an art academy program in a very, very regular school that kicked me off on my career path to becoming eventually Teal Teacup. But even during my career path, I found myself losing myself as an artist and regaining that back. And on the way, I ended up finding Teal Teacup.
And how long has it been around?
Let's see. Teal Teacup started in 2017. It would have been around the time when I was working full-time as a UI UX designer for a game company. And I had always been looking for something for myself the entire time. When I was dealing with my career, I was a UI UX designer for 7 years. And along the way, I found myself always pulling back to finding something creative, something for myself, even if it cost me all of my free time. But Teal Teacup as a brand, or like the very beginning budding start of it, what I believe has started in late 2017, early 2018. Mm-hmm.
And for everyone who's asking, what is a UI UX designer and how is that different than designing for all the products and pins that you make at Teal Teacup?
So it's funny because I thought to myself, I probably have to explain, 1, what's a UI UX designer? And 2, what are enamel pins? What are pins? So I'll start with what a UI UX designer is. UI UX is user interface, user experience design. It's in a million different fields, but I happen to do it in the games industry, meaning I was building user interfaces, which are all of the buttons and all the visual aspects, everything that allows you to get from one place to another, and everything that's beautified from that aspect of things for the games industry and the mobile apps that I was creating. And when it comes down to UX, that's user experience design. So that's building the experience for a user base to make sure that they can get from point A to point B to point Z back to point A. Basically, if a user can't accomplish their goal from beginning to end and start back over, it's not their fault. It would be my fault as the UI UX designer, because that means that there's a flow issue and stuff like that. So it was my job to basically get all of the information from the users and implement it into a very usable flow and make something easy to interact with.
And that would be the website pages or the landing pages or literally the
for the
things
web
you see
industry.
on
There's
the
a
app.
lot of there's a lot of education for the web industry out of there for the UI UX design aspect of things. And so if you come into a page and you want to find your way around from the navigation bar to being able to purchase something, to be able to understand that a purchase has been made, that's all UI UX. The visuals, the brand representation on the page, that's all the UI aspect of things. And the flow, the foundational elements, how to get from one screen to another and back, what the intentions of translating the design is, that's all UX, user experience.
So for everyone who has their own website or app and they don't have a UX or UI designer, they should probably go at least talk to somebody who's done that.
Absolutely. When I started, it was a relatively new career term, like a relatively new career to the industry. Mind you, UI UX has always been around, but the specialization in it was relatively new, to where there was no formal education in learning UI UX. It just happened to be a very specialized need, a niche that I happened to fit into really well and stumble. It's a great job, honestly. And as you know, I'm doing this Teal Teacup full time as an independent artist versus doing this amazing career that I'm talking to you about. And there's some really great reasons around it that I'm excited to be here to talk to you guys about that.
Perfect. We'll go into that next, but just to summarize for everybody who's like, what did I just learn? Essentially, how great a website or an app looks and how easy it is to use, it all goes down to UI UX.
Yes.
And if it also ties into what we talk a lot about, you and I being, because you're a Thrive member, like in Thrive about customer journeys, or with my private clients about how do you take a stranger from landing on your app or your website all the way to buying and like knowing how to function in this digital space you made. So there's a lot of layers.
It's all based in a user-centered product development. That's the way to explain it. And when whether you're building an app, whether you're building a door, seriously, there's UX involved in building a door and being able to get in and out of a place, whether you're building a toy, a game, or whether you're building your own business. Honestly, the same applications apply, the same foundational elements apply. You have to understand who your user is, who you're building this for, basically your target audience. You have to be able to narrow down what you're making, who you're making it for, and why you're making it, and how you're going to accomplish those goals. A lot of that is organized and accomplished through UI UX.
And you started to speak about it earlier, but how did you make the leap from working in the game industry in a big corporate setting, UI UX, to suddenly being a small business, art-centered, creating tangible products?
I thought about this a lot because I know I said it started in 2017. And at the same time, I was working full-time doing UI UX. And I decided to kick off what ended up being Teal Teacup, meaning that I would go to work. I would work on my lunch to like ship out products. Go get off work, go pick up my daughter because I am a single mom, take her home, feed us both, and then put her to sleep and go back to work. So that's kind of the aspect of where it started, when things were small and relatively easy to manage around that time. But if I were to think about it, honestly, it started far before the initial kickoff, even before I knew the name Teal Teacup or I knew what I was building or what the product was, because I've always, like I said, I've always intended to find something creative and self-fulfilling and some way to funnel all of these billions of creative ideas in my head that pile up and have no place to go. some outlet for that was outside of my career. I'm good at UI UX. I can do it. I love the organization skills. It was a very great career, but when it came down to things being fulfilling, I always sought something outside of what I was doing to feel like, honestly, to feel like I was alive. I don't know if other artists feel the same way, if it's as relatable of a concept, but as an artist, I feel the things that I leave behind and the impacts that I make personally on other people help me feel like I will survive beyond my lifetime. So if I die, these things will still exist. I know that sounds maybe it sounds morbid, but in general, it feels like something that I've always sought through my work and always sought through my personal things, including I did photography for over 10 years while I was in college. When I graduated, by the way, I graduated 8 months pregnant. So I had my big old belly, walked across stage, just laughing and smiling. So my daughter already graduated before she was born. And if that wasn't challenging enough, I left school and found myself relatively jobless and not really knowing what I wanted to do. Because as I had been working doing a graphic design in college, I realized I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I finishing that? I don't want to do graphic design because the truth is this is the beginning of Teal Teacup. I did not want to be subject to somebody else who didn't necessarily have the same art education or same creative translation of my ideas, subject to modifying my artwork and even dulling it down or dumbing it down. So when it came down to being a graphic designer, that meant I was subject to the marketing department, which is great to have that organization aspect of things. Someone to tell me what I'm doing and to give me projects, but it was very, very, very limiting and very hard to find fulfillment in that when the marketing department didn't necessarily have the professional career and professional education of an artist. So the joke was just make it pretty. Or the other joke as a graphic designer is, can you center it? Can you just center it? Which is very painful when you've got nice juxtaposition on multiple sides and you're just like, oh, can you just center it and change the font to the same thing we always use? So that stuff was really heartbreaking constantly. So I asked myself what I really wanted to do when I had stumbled into an opportunity doing UI UX. That was a whole different learning opportunity, a learning career for me, because like I said, education wasn't necessarily through the formal college environment. It was all through Googling it. If anybody, I will tell anybody right now, if you want to know how to do something, just Google it. The internet is an amazing resource. There's a million people trying to teach the things that they know. And I myself am finding myself down that pathway as well as my career continues to grow and as I continue to learn. But that's how I learned how to become a UI UX designer, by Googling it, reading about it, building my own curriculum, building my own documents to outline what UI and UX was, and then implementing that in my career and my hustle to find growth as a female, Black, independent, strong-willed, creative person in the games industry, which is honestly a niche in its own and hard to find the kind of fulfillment and the kind of growth that I genuinely seek and I genuinely try to fulfill with everything that I do in my life. Yeah, it was hard to find that without a struggle, without a hustle, without a fight, without compromising myself in different ways to accommodate the needs and accommodate the expectations of the environment that I was in outside of the work that I was capable of doing. So I don't know if that answered your question.
I think it did. So you started listing some of the, descriptives about who you are, right? You're female, you're a single mother, you are a Black woman, you are a designer, you are a business owner. Like, what other things would you use to describe yourself for people to get a complete picture of who you are and, what you're mixing into, what you're balancing every day?
Right. The greatest part that I can say is that when you ask me the question of who I am and what I'm mixing into my balancing every day, as I continue this growth as Teal Teacup and the business and building the brand, I'm able to represent a lot of myself through my work. Teal Teacup is not only just a brand and a shop that hosts my work. It's an identity. It's an alter ego. It's my artist name. It's how I represent myself to the public and how I translate all of my ideas and translate all of my creativity in my own way, my own unique way. So who's Gayle? It's funny because if I were to say who's Gayle, I would say Gayle's an anxious ball of mess. She is a hot mess. She tries her best and most of the time has no clue what she's doing, right? But on the same aspect of things, I am driven. I'm a go-getter. I'm a hustler. Like I constantly on the go. I'm very transparent through my work and through to my audience and to my following, and to the people that I know about my mental health. So I am ADHD, clinically ADHD, and I have high anxiety. And as I mentioned before, I'm a single mom and I'm an artist and a creative, and I'm a photographer. And I have been a photographer for many years. I have been a UI UX designer. I have dyslexia. See all these things that pile up together, and why it's so important to mention things even as unique or as slim as I have dyslexia. It's because it's how I translate the world. Understanding my mental health, understanding how my brain works, understanding how why I gravitate towards the things that I do is honestly part of how I've been able to find this niche of enamel pen and realize why it works so well for me. When my dyslexia, I see things in shapes. And so I see things instead of individual pieces, I see just a block of information. So I'm a very graphic thinker. I think in points and lines really well. I like to do things on a specific program called Adobe Illustrator where I can vector things versus doing things in a painterly aspect of things, which means I'm working with shapes and boxes and lines versus working with pixels and variants and lots of details that my brain just doesn't process at the same time. So when I can definitely suggest to those who are seeking some sort of personal representation of themselves through their work, to understand basically how you think, how you translate the world. Kara, you help me understand my love language and why it's important to represent myself through my love language to my work, also, as well as narrow down the things I want to do in my job to really center itself around my love language, the things that I naturally gravitates towards when it comes down to communication and interacting with others.
Well, and let's pause on that for a second, because, you've been part of Thrive membership.
Yes.
And through that, you also became a private client. And so we can tell people how you decided to do both those things. But then also you brought up love language, and we did a whole month in Thrive about what is your business love language and how do you figure out what it is and how do you make sure that both how you give love and receive love is incorporated into your business. And that was a really powerful month conversation. So I'm going to ask you to tell everyone what your love languages are in a second. And the second thing you mentioned in there was, also really looking at how you spend your day to make sure that the job you're building for yourself at your company is one that you love, because it's so common for an entrepreneur to give away all the easy things to other people and realize, oh, wait, I don't like my job anymore at the company that I made.
Right.
So what are your business love languages?
So one of my major love languages, both in business and in life, how I intercommunicate with my family and with my team and with my community, is words of affirmation.
Yeah.
I will tell somebody so much in such detail how gracious I am over the things that they've done, or how I feel about them, or I'll speak volumes of how wonderful they are, what they can contribute to others and what they've contributed to my life. And I am so happy to communicate. I am a communicator. So I'm very happy to communicate with my audience, answer questions, just basically be in the place of positive discussions and excitement and hype. Even my personal supporters, I refer to often as my hype crew, because they're the people who are basically doing for me what almost everybody does for a big company like Netflix. They are just talking about what I do, sharing it with their friends, and helping instill that trust in others and that broad audience interaction. So it's broadening the impact of what I do by them sharing with others and talking about what I do, helps me grow and helps me be an independent artist without having to do any individual ad spend, no ad spend. This is my entire following is organic growth. And by following, I mean, the only reason why I've been able to build a business, this is incredible, by the way, is because I started building my portfolio or started releasing my artwork through social media, specifically my highest impactful social media platform is Instagram. It started when I started connecting with friends and family. So I have about like 300 friends and family. Yay. Which is great. It's where you should begin. Reach out to those people in your central network. This is how I started. If anyone's wondering how Teal Teacup started, there's a lot of aspects to building myself and finding myself that led to where I ended up being for Teal Teacup. But in regards to building a brand and building a platform and building a place that people know my name and can find me, it was all just putting myself out there, finding out where my audience lives, finding out where they can find me. And that was all through Instagram as an artist. And like I said, I started with about 300 followers of friends. And then within, I'd say it's been 3 years. Within 3 years of starting to do this organic growth process, meaning I don't do ad spend, it's all word of mouth. I have over 50,000 followers. So it's over 51,000 followers as of today. It's continuing to grow at an exponential rate. So the greatest part about that is the more people who have their eyes on your work, the more of a broad audience can share, the more the broad audience can grow, the more broad audience can come and eventually go down through the pipeline and the funnel to actually purchasing your work and supporting what you do as an independent artist or as a brand or as a small business. And then you could also use your platform like I do, which is to share with the people who are in your community, this community that you've known, who supports you, who grow, share with them the things that you've learned, the amazing people that you've interacted with. So Kara Duffy is amazing. I talk volumes about how great you are. And also all of the different people I've been able to interact with in my life, people who are doing what you're doing. So different people who are in your community who might not be you might not have people who are your coworkers anymore, but you do have people who are your peers, people who are people who you look up to, people you can connect with. And those connections make the biggest difference in the world, right? So, and then you could also bring people onto your team that are within your network as well. So not only do you just communicate with your audience and build your audience full of people who can relate with you, want what you do, through Teal Teacup, I found myself fulfilling a need, right? As well as living in a special niche, a place that's just for me, someplace that I can fulfill differently, uniquely, more special than no one is doing exactly what I'm doing.
No,
right?
and they're not,
no one
because
is doing exactly what I'm doing.
Because you're doing you.
No one's me. No one has this buildup of experiences. No one's had my struggles. No one has my immediate needs and my immediate goals and my immediate representations of the things that I adore. Right. Even if I look at something and I'm inspired by something, there's a book called Steal Like an Artist. Right. Even if you're inspired by something, the minute that you put your hand to paper, as long as you are the differentiator. As long as you make sure that you're the differentiator, then what you put out there is going to be unique to you and your own translation of anything that you do. Even if everything under the sun has been done before, there's nothing new under the sun is what they say, right? It doesn't mean that what you bring to the table doesn't solve a need or a unique niche, or someone isn't out there looking just for you. You know?
Yeah. And you are in this interesting cross-section of, crossover from gaming and Twitch and anime and the Enamel community.
Right.
everything you make is it's both cute and emotional. It's cute and expressive. It's cute and it's telling a story, right? So you are in such a unique demographic. So what makes the enamel pin community a different community than maybe other brands or companies are used to interacting with?
That's a good question.
You know an enamel pin because it has the prongs in the back that you have to put the little cap on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you can take those prongs and you can post them on things. And what people do is they represent themselves through collections. So the community, the community that I serve is how I think about it. It's like I'm serving this community.
Mhm.
They are creatives as well. They're filled with artists. A lot of the support to what I do are people who either want to do what I'm doing or are already doing what I'm doing or want to do what I'm doing, but they don't know it yet, as well as people who are collectors. So the collector mindset, meaning that they take, they put their attention towards a specific item, and then they are happy to continue to support and continue to purchase that item. It just brings them joy, right? So the unique thing about enamel pins versus other aspects, other places that I could represent myself, other industries that I could be in. So I was a UI UX designer in games. I was a photographer. I've done illustration. I've done everything that I can. But enamel pins is where I've been able to make the biggest growth and biggest impact. The niche where I fit the best, right? So if you find that, I have to say, don't let it go. Try to see where it goes. I've had the opportunity to do so myself, and I have zero regrets. It's a lot of work, zero regrets. But the reason why it's most important is because the community itself is so uplifting. There's so many creative communities or creative professions in which you are constantly in competition with somebody else. You're constantly fighting for positivity and fighting to keep your sanity and to keep your mental health aligned. While this community is supportive over mental health. They want to support independent artists. They want you to keep doing what you're doing so that they can keep getting the things that make them happy, right? Being able to have the kind of drive and have the kind of ambition to really genuinely restructure, reprioritize, repivot everything that I'm doing from being maybe 50% online, 20 to 25% online to 100% online, and then reaching out to the pin community through Instagram and saying, hey, here are the ways that you can support my work. I consistently have been able to not only just survive, but to thrive throughout a pandemic and continue growth all the way through 2021 to where I am at right now, simply by crowdfunding. I crowdfund on a consistent basis through multiple different aspects, whether it be my Patreon, it's a monthly pen club or a monthly subscription service. I consider that crowdfunding because I say, hey, if you come onto Patreon as a platform and you support me on different levels, I will give you designs. You will inspire me to continuously create on a regular basis. And as a reward for being a patron of the arts, a patron of my art, I will now be able to ship you these things as a reward, the things that I get to create with the funding that you've provided. So people are like, oh, I want you to create things. I love Teal Teacup. I love what you do. And they're willing to, on a monthly basis, support and receive a reward in the mail just to keep you going. That is a complete side thing, right? It's become a regular part of my my financial pillars, but it is definitely something that started with just a dream to continuously create on a regular basis some original enamel pin designs just to keep funneling these, like I said, this millions of creative ideas out. Now, the enamel pin community themselves want everything. They don't just want one thing. They want all of the things of that one thing. If they relate to you, like I try to keep everything that I do a representation of myself in a relatable way. If they relate to this thing, then they're like, yes, please, I would love to have that and put it next to the other thing that I have that looks like it, but it's not it, or, oh my gosh, that makes me happy, right? Enamel pins, or what I do, what I create, is not something that will feed your children. It's not something that will pay your rent. It's something that will bring you happiness and bring you joy. And as a creative and as an artist, as Gayle, as Teal Teacup, I've been able to find a niche in this community that's super supportive, that that aligns with my goals, that aligns with my the things that I aspire towards. It aligns with the things that are important to me morally and personally, and my general interests, all of it, right? The community that I'm building, they want to uplift each other. They want to talk about they want to hear what you find important, and they want to support the causes, and they want to support the charities that you're interested in. They want to positively engage in and positively share the conversations that are going to be uplifting and that are going to be mental health related, and going to be really genuinely growing themselves and growing the people around you. That community is something that I cannot walk away from, and I can't express how grateful I am to be a part of, because they're the ones who kicked me off from the beginning. They added me to groups. They helped me figure out friends that are going to teach me or guide me along the way. They were really supportive when it comes down to things like sharing, crowdfunding opportunities, and supporting in different ways, and becoming fans of one another. So both the people who are creating within the community and the people who are collecting within the community work together symbiotically. I would consider them to be like stakeholders in each other's success. And by stakeholders, I mean they have a genuine personal stake in the growth and success of Teal Teacup. And the feeling is mutual, because what I want to do is I want to continue to make things that bring happiness to other people. I will definitely tell you one thing.
Yes.
I realized something about myself with this whole exploration. There's so much I realized about myself through Teal Teacup, but the exploration over the past couple years, and why Teal Teacup has been able to continue to grow and continue to thrive even through a pandemic, is because Teal Teacup's designs bring happiness. They spark joy. When everybody was sad, when everybody was trying to figure themselves out, when I was trying to figure myself out, crying ugly tears, feeling like I had so much loss, not knowing what was coming in the future, the designs that I created to represent those emotions, designs that I created to represent that anxiety, the creatures and the creations and the original thoughts that I put into my work and the original translations of things that I love, it was like a superpower that I have, right? That is able to take my emotions that I put into my work and instantly imbue them into somebody else, right? So if I look at what I'm doing, I'm drawn and I go, oh, that's so dumb. I love this, right? And I'm pulling myself out of the depressive state, and I'm pulling myself out of the anxious state, or I'm representing something I just went through, and I'm just feeling really good about like having one simple, solid graphic design that shows a story. It tells a story of myself, and through this character, through this representation of art. When I do that, the other person on the other side instantly feels that same joy. They go, oh my God. They make these weird noises like, oh, 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 oh. And I'm like, I made that noise too. I made that same exact noise when I was creating this. So when I am able to be at conventions, which has the whole intrinsic value of being able to meet people face to face, being able to have that validation for the first time in my life through this career, as saying, oh my God, Teal Teacup, it's you. And I'm like, it's me. Me? You're looking for me? I'm in New York. How do you know anything about me, right?
Yeah.
I show up in New York at a convention and someone says, oh my God, it's you. Oh my God, look at this. Oh, it's so cute. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's me. Oh, I love this. That is something that I've only been able to find through the creation of enamel pens and through serving the art community specific niche of enamel pen collectors. I know that was a big and long response.
No, you're good. You're good. So, you make it sound like it's just been natural. Like there's this organic growth of where things have gone.
Yeah.
Has creating an accessories business would you say it's been easy or it's been hard?
Oh, it's a hustle every day. It is. I remember telling myself when I was working, like I said, going to work, coming home, putting my daughter to bed, taking care of us, and then going back to work for Teal Teacup, and then going back to work in the morning, right? And taking her to school, getting her ready, doing all that stuff, even just from the aspect of the small pieces, much less the insane amount of growth since then. Just think of the number of 300 versus 50,000 plus. Like that could be a good representation of the growth and the scale of my business and how it's outgrown me multiple times over and over and over again. Right. Along the way, figuring things out as an artist, like what do I do? Right. Whether it's that or just trying to focus as a ADHD hyper, attention deficit person, right? Whether it's being a mom and also trying to be a small business owner, whether it's being a woman in a community, a woman in an industry or woman self-made solopreneur or entrepreneur, depending on where I'm at and where I'm growing and how big my team is. All those things are difficult. And I represent a lot of that through my work. The other day I have this anxiety pug. I try to use 4-letter words for when I'm naming my original characters. His name is Spam. Yes, Spam, like the food, the meat from a can. And he's just my ball of anxiety. I started to represent in my through my pen club, the first 4 or 5 months, I represented small pieces of my personality through my work. And these were all things that represent the struggle, honestly, of being a mom, of being a small business owner, of living this dream. I remember I look up and I go, Gayle, remind yourself, you're living the dream, because I'm like, why am I doing this? I want to give up. This is too much. This is too hard. That happens on a rotating basis, almost through waves up and down as I, over the past 3 years of managing this hustle, this dream, right? But when I'm representing myself, I have Spam the Anxious Pug, where recently I created one of him just bawling big, ugly tears and just did a 4-panel illustration of just Spam and how having a support system really helps in getting those tears, those big, ugly tears out, helps with all the anxiety and processing to where you get you get to find the good that comes on the other side of an ugly cry. Is pretty much the finalization of that 4-panel story. But then there's Beezy, the anxious busy bee, which is basically me twitching with a coffee cup and staying up all night and messaging and holding a billion things and ADHD, just picking up things, putting them down and constantly being on the hustle to get all this stuff done. It's just a little round bee. They're just simple shapes. Spam is a square. Beezy is a bee. And then there's Moop. I know it's a simple name. He's so cute. This purple, tiny, chunky little cat, which is basically Teal Teacup. The way people see me, it's just this energy. It's this this realness. It's this positivity. It's this like the life that I'm living, and how people see this like wide-eyed, cute little cat who's just basically living life, trying to interact with others and being very personable. There's just this little representation of myself, and if you put them all together, they represent both me and the struggle that I have every day, but that I have to constantly balance when I'm building the brand and also subsequently learning and growing and building myself as an individual.
Well, and you've made so much tremendous growth. And what are some things that you've done for yourself or your business that have allowed you to start making, like, instead of steps, like leaps?
So it's really easy to forget the foundational things, like forget the basics. And there's so many different people that I can attribute to teaching me things along the way. So growing my team is a huge one and something that I'm currently and will continue to invest in and focus on moving forward. But if you were to pull back on where this started, even filling in that story a little bit, I would say that one of the things that I have done that's been able to allow me to do these tremendous leaps is write things down. Set your goals. It's like step one. No. The step before step one is have things that you want to do, have a passion, have desires, have a drive, have intentions. Like those happen all the time, whether you're fulfilling them or not, right? The next step is to take all that stuff down and write it down. I think it was maybe in 2013 or 2012 that I wrote my first 5-year plan. And that sounds really intimidating. I'm really grateful to have the support system that I've had to be able to encourage me to do so. But when I did, it could take 15 minutes. You want to know why? Because all you have to do is just free form. Just spit all your ideas out on paper. I have more than a dozen journals, notebooks, just journaling type sketches, sketchbooks, whatever I can get my hands on that culminate ideas and processes and goals and things over the past, ever since then. I just started there by just writing down all of my goals, where I wanted to be in the next 5 years. I said to myself, what could I easily see not happening in 5 years? Because I've had 5 years. 5 years has passed. Maybe I've wanted to do this for 5 years. It's not happened. What do I want to look back on and say, I remember when I felt this way. I remember when I had this struggle. Because when you get an opportunity to write down your goals and write down your plans, you get to understand more about what your own priorities are. You get to learn more about yourself. You get to deep dive into the why behind why this, like, oh, I just want to pay my bills. Why? I mean, oh, I want to get this job. Why do you want to get this job? Or I want to advance my career. Why? And you see how many things that are your goals that align and combine together as you just spitball, just high in the sky. And then you can set goals that are just you're good at this and goals that are just like, what is your ultimate goal? If anything, pie in the sky, like there were no limitations, what would that be? You can write down things like, I want to make $1 million. And at that point, it seems impossible. And then you're going to look up and say, wow, now all of these things are my baseline. These are my reality. This is who I am now. This is the things I've accomplished along the way that started with just writing these things down. When you have that new baseline, you have an opportunity to reprioritize with who you are now and see where your growth can be in the future, see where your possibilities are. So I just got to say that one of the biggest things that I would recommend to anybody would be to take a step and say, I'm going to take 15 minutes, just 15 minutes of my day. And I'm going to give myself a deadline. It's going to be a timely and manageable deadline, right? And I'm just going to write down what my hypothetical 5-year plan is. From there, you get to have an opportunity. Hopefully you have some sort of support system, someone you can talk this out with, have an opportunity to break those down into the little steps along the way that you can take to get there. Okay, I want to have something creative for myself. So my first step is write down all the things I'm interested in. I have this list that just says all the things Gayle likes. And I'll tell you, even though Teal Teacup didn't exist when I wrote that list in like 2013 or so, that's all the things I'm creating today. Whether it's the food that I like, I have a food series that's just devastated foods. It's just food that's upset to be food. And the people who get it when there's like a grilled cheese meltdown pen, or there's an onion that says, I'm not crying, and it's sliced in half, the people who can relate to that get me. And that's all a representation of just that side, whether it's, if you want to write on your list, I want to travel to Japan, right? I just want to leave the country at least once in the next 5 years. I wrote that down. I wrote down all of my goals. My goals were somewhere aligned with my daughter and making sure she was in a healthy, safe place, making sure I could afford the both of us together, making sure I didn't get into debt or stayed out of debt or got out of debt in all aspects of the small and big things. Making sure that I was commuting 3 hours a day to get to my job right after I graduated. At the hustle of finding that job and then being in LA and commuting to LA and back meant that I didn't get to know my daughter for the first year of her life. There were so many things that I felt displaced in my life that I could just cry about, even just thinking about it right now. I'm a crier. Gayle's a crier. But all of those things I wrote down on paper. And even though it was a 5-year plan, the realistic aspect of that is that my focus began to become narrowed. My focus began to become intentional. And I ended up placing all the little things and finding failures and finding growth and finding opportunities. By the way, for every failure or every missed opportunity, I'd like to say, because failure is I'd like to change my vernacular between things that are misses and things that are learning opportunities when it comes down to achieving something and being successful in your goals. But I digress. To be able to piggyback off of those missed opportunities to find something that was even greater, that to have it open up a door, open up a window, or make a connection that led to something that I didn't even know I wanted. Right. That's happened so often in my life in big, big ways.
Yeah.
But having those sort of shifts and and career change and opportunities along the way have really genuinely led to where I'm at today.
When, a lot of creatives are listening, and there's a lot of people who
Yes.
want to take their small business and make it a more sustainable long-term business. What made you say, now is the time that I should invest in having a business coach? Because you were doing great things on your own. Like, why were you like, okay, now I have to, now I need support in a different way than I've had before?
It's all a process. I mean, it's all a journey, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're starting out small and you're trying to just figure out what your name of your company is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're figuring out the first stumble into honestly becoming a legit business owner, where you have to pay and you have to do all of the jump through all the hoops and file the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And as my business continued to grow, I mentioned this before, it outgrew me, and I might not have known it. I would say before finding a business coach, right, I had a small network of trusted individuals who had introduced me to what ended up being the community in the group, the like-minded individuals, the powerful ladies, to Kara, to eventually leading to me hooking up in regards to having a business coach. And even before that, I had someone ask me, really, when you try to prioritize things, my dad asked me this. I'm an accidental business owner, by the way. I don't know if I shared this story with anybody before, but I didn't actually intend to file for a business license. I wanted to file for my name so that I could own Teal Teacup, and I ended up being a business owner. I'm like, what does it all mean? I'm just an artist. I just want to make pretty things, right? And that summary of I'm just an artist, I want to make pretty things, meant that everything I was taking on subsequently was out of my my space of expertise. It was out of where I thrive. It was out of where I genuinely belong, where my skill sets lie. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes down to having always being open and always having a trusted network. So when a good friend of mine and a previous coworker of mine, Natasha Dressler, who I love, and when she said, hey, I really want to introduce you to this group. It's called Powerful Ladies. Kara's amazing. She's really helping us out. It's a niche group of people a small group of women and men who genuinely want to grow and have a lot of the same struggles, and they might be doing millions of different things in all aspects of things. But I realized in coming to some of the free sessions in the beginning on Thursdays, the open sessions, when the structure was open during those opportunities, I had realized how important it was to have a community. Mm-hmm. Right? Just a community to discuss things, how much learning and how much growth, how much I would have missed not having that opportunity. So I want to attribute that a lot to the people who are in my network. And then subsequently sharing all the struggles and sharing where I'm at, realizing how much was possible. Mm-hmm. And also realizing can't do it alone. I will definitely say that if I were to think back on every aspect of growth in my career and towards Teal Teacup, and as I continue to grow, the network and the individuals that I have that I can say are part of Team Teacup, including Karen, including you, are really the structure, like the pillars, the foundational elements that say, okay, I'm here on the base floor and I need stairs, mm-hmm. Now I need to go up these stairs and everything's being filled from the bottom. I need someone to help me handle that. Or I don't even know where to go from here. Or I wish there was someone in this that could tell me what to do next, not tell me what to do. The people who are in your network are, like I said, they are stakeholders in your success. Your success is their success. When you thrive, they thrive, right? That's what I love about the Thrive community, because it's basically it says it in the name. When you thrive, I thrive. When your community thrives, you thrive. When my patrons are enjoying their work, my work, then I'm thriving and they're thriving. And it's very, very mutual, that aspect of things. And the same goes with individual one-on-one coaching. So to find a business coach means that I am adding a professional. I'm adding someone who is who has the answers to things that you can't be a professional at everything, right?
Yeah.
Who is part of that profession, who can guide me, who understands me, who can trust me, who I can relate to. And you can build that relationship with someone who's genuinely there to watch you succeed and to aid in your success and to eliminate obstacles along the way, or to give tools that you can build into your own way, your own business. And learn from and grow from and capitalize on and all these things to move towards these ultimate goals that you had written down not too long ago, to tell you to write down things that you never knew you needed to write down, to give you resources that you never knew was possible. And honestly, I having a business coach over the past couple of years is probably the one reason why I've been able to have this type of exponential growth, because there's only so much that you can do alone.
Yeah.
So that's why having a business coach, and the pivotal turning point for me was, it started with looking up and saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't ship, right? I can't handle designing and social media and shipping. I had all of these personal struggles these business struggles that were affecting my personal life. I wasn't living my best life. And when Kara calls me and says, hey, I see you show up, I see you discuss things, I see you knock things out of the park, and I know that you are perfect client. You're my target audience. I have all these ideas. We just need more time. Like, how does this sound to you? And I go, might as well try it. It was just like starting the business all over again. It's taking a decision and saying, okay, I'm going to invest into this, and giving myself permission to see where it goes. Right.
Yeah. And you're a unique client, because so often people are calling me, like they had some breakdown where they're like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. But like, I saw you coming to thrive, and I was like, I'm not sleeping because I know I can help you more. And I don't want you to struggle between our like times together. So you're one of the handful of people that I have reached out to and been like, please let me help you. Like it can be so much easier than it's occurring for you right now. Yeah. So thank you for being a yes to that.
No, honestly, making that decision has had its own subsequent rewards. So making the initial investment, tailoring it to what I can accomplish financially and time-wise, and then really taking advantage of the learning opportunities and implementing that along the way, whether it's building my team or whether it's, coming to you with a problem I didn't realize I had until we got into our sessions, and then breaking that down and making a plan within 2 weeks. It's no longer a problem. Within a month, it's no longer a problem. Being able to have that sounding board as well for creative ideas and potential business growth, and knowing that someone who's worked in a big business, honestly, if I say out loud, I'm trying, like, what are you trying to do right now? I'm trying to build my enamel pin empire, right? I'm not trying to stay and just make a couple pins and like, okay, that was fun. I'm trying to make this something that I'm trying to be the best in what I do. I'm trying to grow and be known and build my brand. Those are the things that I'm finding myself struggling with right now. When before I was trying to figure out how to have space to survive, have space out in my home where I could just walk around and not stumble over inventory, or be able to comfortable going for a walk, or spend more time with my child, or learn a language, all the things I wanted to do when I had initially decided to cut the commute, right, with my first job and go to my second job and in my career path as a UI UX designer. All those struggles were coming up as an independent artist as well. And a business coach has helped me align my goals with strategic steps along the way on how to accomplish this, and help me realize what's possible.
Amazing. Well, speaking of what's possible, when you hear the words powerful and ladies separately, what do they mean to you? And does the definition change when they're put together?
I've talked to you about this before. The idea of what does it mean to be powerful to me? And I've had this discussion with my daughter before, when I was teaching her the word empowered, the definition of empowered. And a little kid's perspective is, that means that the easiest way to translate is, well, you get permission to do the things that you want to do, right? To be powerful is to be initially empowered. And as a lady, if you combine the words with ladies, there's a lot of aspects of things, even in my UI UX design career, where it was a hustle, a struggle to feel empowered. Where someone who might, in the male aspect of things, in the male industry, male within the industry, might have an innate expectation and be innately given by the world empowerment, permission, honestly, the chance to be a boss, to be a boss, not like to be someone's boss, but to be a boss, right? So being a powerful lady together means that you are feeling empowered, you are empowering yourself, you are finding and breaking all of the boundaries down that you might be giving to yourself as an individual, or you might see in the world. Now, powerful ladies that exist in the world, let's talk about Lizzo. You bring her up every once in a while, right? Lizzo had a conversation on her live recently after she released her recent song and got a lot of undue and unnecessary hate behind it. She said the words, I will never do what you want me to do. That's a powerful lady. She represents herself through her work. She's transparent about her mental health. She is, what is the word? She is unapologetic for being her authentic self, right? There is no other person doing exactly what she's doing, both as an artist, as a brand, as an individual. So being a powerful lady is really having that innate, or that having built or continuously building that idea of, and that concept and that realization of, I do what I want. I'm my own boss. I'm going to bring to the world what I want to exist. I'm going to exist in this world and make a positive impact. What I leave behind is going to be something greater than I could have if I were to take myself out of that category of being empowered, of being a powerful lady, right? You see powerful men all the time. You go, oh, that is a powerful man. Whatever it is, money, if it's inheritance, if it's their status, if it's their career, wherever they are. But a powerful lady, right, is something that we have to grasp for ourselves. It's something that we have to believe in ourselves. We have to believe everything's possible. We have to be our own permission to do so. So that's, in my opinion, why I would consider myself a powerful lady, and why I really enjoy being part of a group of women who also are striving to continuously be powerful women themselves.
Well, and that's a perfect segue to my next question of, where do you put yourself on the powerful lady scale? If 0 is average everyday human and 10 is most powerful lady you could imagine, where would you put yourself today, and where would you put yourself on average?
So on a 0 to 10 scale, I guess I would have to understand or communicate maybe what this number means to me. So I would consider myself a 9, right? And what a 9 means to me is that there's always room to grow. There's always, you're always in a learning opportunity. You're always striving for new goals. There's always something bigger. When you reach that baseline, you always have something more that you're willing to and want to achieve, and more desires that you know is possible, right? But also, you don't give up when there's a struggle. You don't give up. You just pivot. You understand that pivoting and changing and grow is part of the process of being on a 10. You're always seeking to be a 10 in everything that you do. And anyone who's a 9 out there is always going to feel like an 8 or a 7 every once in a while. You want to know why? It's because we work hard. It's because we have big dreams. It's because we always have something that we want to do. And we always have to start over whenever we're learning something new, and kind of we're all consistently leveling up someplace. We're not complacent with being miserable. We're not complacent with being just okay, right? The basic average human. If we start to feel like we're no longer learning or no longer growing, we start to slip down as a 9. Mentally into a space where we feel like we're a 7. But a powerful lady never knows darn right that they're not a 5. A 9 knows they're never a 6. A 9 might feel like a 7 on some days, but comes out a 10, in the moment, comes out a 10, feeling like they're on top, and then realizes that they have a lot of room to grow. And then that's where a 9 is a super strong and the only I have listened to your podcast. I have to tell you, you bring on some immensely powerful women. You bring on some amazing stories, and I'm grateful to be part of the group of people that you've reached out to tell mine, honestly. Inspirational, high energy, positive, all the things that I really do strive towards. And those women come on here as nines. Even if they say they're a 10, it's because they're in that rocking zone where they just blew something out of water, right? But being a 9 means that you constantly have room to grow and learn. And that's why all of them, 100% of the people you bring on this team, onto this podcast are 9.
Well, for everybody who is super impressed with you and what you're up to, where can they find you, follow you? What's next for you? What are all the things?
Well, I'm obsessed with the color teal, and I love teacups. So obviously my name is Teal Teacup. I try to keep it relatively consistent. You can find me on Instagram at Teal Teacup. I have my .com where you can purchase or see or view or relate to my enamel pins and stickers and accessories. tealteacup.com, just one word. And you can become a patron of the arts and have a monthly subscription, part of my monthly subscription service, which is, I call it my pin club. And that's on Patreon, patreon.com/Teal Teacup. I also do live streams. So I really like to draw live. If you guys are interested, I do a Twitch creative live stream on twitch.tv/Teal Teacup 1. And honestly, if you find me on Instagram, there's a link in my bio, my Instagram at Teal Teacup, just one word. There's a link in my bio that can give you access to all of the above.
Perfect. Well, Gayle, it has been such a pleasure to have you today, to get an opportunity to hear more of your story and how much you adore your community and how thankful you are to be in a place where you can have all of your passions and universes and interests collide. So thank you for the time today, and thank you for being a yes to Powerful Ladies.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. You're awesome.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. All the links to connect with Gayle and Teal Teacup are in our show notes at thepowerfulladies.com/podcast. There you can also leave comments and ask questions about this episode. If you want more Powerful Ladies, come follow us on Instagram at Powerful Ladies. There's also some free downloads there to start being powerful today. Subscribe to this podcast and help us reach more listeners like you by leaving us a 5-star rating and review. If you're looking to connect directly with me, visit karaduffy.com or find me on Instagram at kara_Duffy. I would like to thank our producer, composer, and audio engineer, Jordan Duffy. Without her, this wouldn't be possible. You can follow her on Instagram at Jordan K. Duffy. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, I hope you're taking on being powerful in your life. Go be awesome and up to something you love.